Mr. Patel?
Yeah, that's me.
Hi, Tom Drysdale. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet
If you want
you.
to step through here, we can head to my office.
Absolutely.
Head right through there. That's my office. Why don't you go ahead and take a seat right over there in that chair.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and close the door for your privacy reasons.
That sounds great.
Fantastic. First of all, Mr. Patel, I'd like to thank you for coming in today.
No problem.
Before we start, I'd like to let you know that anything that we talk about in here today is covered by attorney-client privilege, so you don't have to worry about anything you say to me going outside this office or anyone finding out about our conversation.
Understood.
So let's start off with you telling me about why you're here today.
Well, it's kind of a crazy story. Walking to this restaurant, I go to it all the time. Great food, love the atmosphere. Going to get an omelet. They're good for you. And the snow all of a sudden came out of nowhere, off of the sign in front of the building. I look up.
Can I stop you for a second?
Sure.
Could you explain the sign to me a little bit? Did you notice anything in particular about the sign?
It's up above the door. I usually don't look at it very hard.
So let's go back to where you were. You were walking in, underneath the sign, you noticed some snow on top of the sign.
That's correct, yeah. All of a sudden, I saw a thud, and I look up, and the snow's coming down. I put my arm up to shield my face. It's the only thing I could think of to do. The next thing I know, the sign, it comes down on top of my head.
Do you recall anything about how much snow fell? Was there a lot of snow? Was there a little bit of snow that fell down?
It was probably about 12 inches.
So there was a pretty substantial amount of snow.
That's correct.
Why don't you describe to me a little bit the weather on that day?
Well, it'd been very cold, but that morning it was actually kind of warm. I think it was above freezing. The snow had started to melt and become heavy. That's about all I can say about that.
Okay, so let's take a step back for a second, and the sign has fallen, and it's hit you in the head. Let's go forward from there. Do you remember anything after the sign hit you in the head?
I just remember I fell over, blood coming out of my head. It was not good.
Was anyone around? Did you see anyone else?
I was meeting my friend Julio, great guy. We meet a lot to get omelets.
So I'm assuming you received some kind of medical care after this incident.
That's right, yeah, they stitched me up pretty good.
What kind of injuries did you sustain?
Just a gash on the top of my head.
Nothing else? Did you have any reoccurring headaches, anything along those lines?
Yeah, I forgot to mention that, but yeah, and my wrist, it hurts a lot. Like right now, it's a little tender. I notice it mostly late at nights.
Are you taking anything for it?
Just ibuprofen. It seems to do the trick most nights.
Do you recall anything about the sidewalk that day, the surface you were walking on?
Well, like I said, lots of snow all over the place. A path had been shoveled though, so I was able to get to the front of the restaurant.
Was it a fairly wide path?
It was pretty narrow. I seem to recall me and Julio having to walk in line because it wasn't wide enough for the two of us.
So you said you noticed that it had been shoveled. Did you notice any ice or, any salt on the sidewalk?
I didn't notice, but I wasn't really looking.
And did you notice any piles of snow around the sidewalk where it seemed like someone had shoveled and piled up the snow around the sidewalk?
Yeah, it looked like where they had shoveled, they just made piles right next to it. I wasn't really concerned about it. Just trying to get that omelet.
Sure, understandable. Okay, well, Mr. Patel, it seems like I've got some good information from you here today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these facts that you've given me and I'm going to look into your case. I'm going to do some research, I'm going to see what applies to your case, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and give you a call back in about a week or so when we're going to let you know how we're going to proceed with your case, or if we're able to proceed with your case.
That sounds great.
All right, well, if that's all, we'll be in contact with you in about a week, and it's been a pleasure to meet with you, Mr.
Great
Patel.
to meet you.
Why don't you go ahead and step right out this way?
Validate parking. I'm parked on the street.
Absolutely.
That's great.
And do me a favor and try to stay away from the omelet place on your way home.
I can do that.
Thank you, sir.
Feel good.